Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create actually what's called walls. And this way, when the ship moves over all the way to the left, it'll collide with the wall and won't be able to pass. So for example, if you take a look here, if I move the ship, notice how it goes off the screen. Well, that's not, you don't want that to happen in the game. You want it to be where it can't go any further than there. And in the same way on the other side, you don't want to go any further than there, right? So going off the screen is not an option here. You want it to stay in gameplay at all times. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, let's go back to the editor. Under our actors section, we need to create two actors that are going to represent the walls. So here's our first actor, and there's our second actor. And we're going to double click on the first actor, and we'll call that one left wall. Okay, and the second actor, right wall. Now typically I like to type in lowercase for the first word and uppercase letter for the second word, but you don't have to. It's not mandatory that you do that. You can use your style, just try to be consistent. Okay, so there's our two actors. Now if I drag those, first of all drag those in just to see what we want to do. We don't want those actors to be on. We don't want them to be seen on the stage. So we're going to have them sort of off stage. And we can increase the size of that. So that's there. Okay, and doesn't have to be so large. Okay, just make sure that. And we do the same thing for the right wall. Just drag another one. Okay, and that's our walls. But now we haven't programmed anything, so if we were to play this, nothing would happen. The would still be able to go off the screen. See, so now we still need to program those two actors. Okay, the next step here is to introduce you to the concept of collision in gaming, which is very popular. It's very important. The idea is when two objects collide, you want something to happen. Sometimes you might want a sound to go off. Sometimes you might want the objects to bounce off each other. So in this case, we want our ship to bounce off the side of the walls. We don't want the ship to go through and off the screen. Okay? Now, to do that, let's select the global ship actor. And then, so on the left side, you should see the ship here. You should see player ship prototype. And you'll see our two rules that we added for moving the ship left and right. So we want to add a collision behavior. And so you'll find that if you click on persistent and you go collide, and if you click on that and drag it right underneath the previous two, so we don't get confused, let's go ahead and minimize these two rules for moving our actors. So we have the collide rule. So it says bounce when colliding with actor of type. And so you want to click on this down arrow here. So it wouldn't make sense to have it collide against itself, to bounce off when it's colliding by itself. We want it to collide when it hits the left wall. And since we're right here, let's hold the Alt Option key and make a copy of that, and just also have it bounce, this particular actor bounce when colliding with the right wall. Okay, so let's go ahead and test that out. Let's hit the play button. And you see that, that did not work for us. All right, so you see a whole bunch of stuff is going on. There's movement, but not the kind of movement that we want. Okay, so why is this happening? Well, first of all, if we click on, let's see what's going on. If we click on the left wall, then we go down to physics for the left wall. You see that movable is checked, which means now when two objects collide, it's movable. And so that's why it's just kind of floating there and moving around in the space there on things. So we want to uncheck movable. Okay? And while we're here, let's do the same thing for the right wall, because we are going to, so we go to physics and movable, uncheck that. Okay? So let's see if that makes a difference. Alright, so let's move to the left, and that's still not happening. So, what's going on? So, okay, well, let's go back here. Let's keep editing. Let's see if we can troubleshoot this here. So, I have a feeling, so we were working with the global actors, but I have a feeling something's going on with the instance of those actors. So, we've been working with the prototype of the actors. So, let's click on the instance of those actors and see if perhaps there was, yeah, so it's still movable on the instance. The instances are the ones that are actually on the stage. So we want to uncheck that and go back to physics. So make sure and movable is unchecked there. Good. Okay, so now let's see if that makes a difference. See, now it's stuck there and it's also stuck there. So we have what we want. It doesn't allow us to go off the screen. So the key idea here is, again, you see how the notion of prototype and instance came back into effect here. So we had adjusted the global walls and took off there, but the instances in this case had them checked still. So we needed to go and uncheck the physics for those instances. So movable, okay? All right, so and that's in the prototype. So that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next video to continue our game.